The most important thing you can do about innovation, make it normal. The paradox is that all the attention we pay to it, all the fancy names, all the fancy brainstorming, the out of the box, all that really serves a paradoxical purpose. All it does is really make sure that innovation is going to always be on the periphery of what you do, not at the core of what you do.
We had a good discussion this morning, I thought. I mean, what I was trying to focus on primarily is what happens on the back end of the innovation system, right? What happens when there are gaps in that system, when the different players aren't lined up and the innovation, the power of innovation can't get through that system. And I talked about how it's a particular problem in complex, established legacy sectors like transport, like energy, like education, like manufacturing. It is really hard to bring transformative as opposed to incremental innovation into those sectors. And it was interesting, following me, Craig came on, and he was very focused on the very front end of the innovation system, that kind of idea moment. When does that technology vision take place, and how do you get that moment right? And he was kind of making the point that you innovate with what I would call crossovers, right? When you take an idea from one place and bring it into a new sector in a very different and new kind of way, right? So you reason by analogy, right? You cross one technology into another. And I think that's a very important way of looking at creativity. In a way, that is what creativity is. So if you can do the creative moment right and then tie it to the back end of the innovation system and get the players, the innovation players, lined up so that the handoffs from research to development to demonstration to deployment work, right? It doesn't have to be smooth, but it's got to work, right? And treat this whole thing as a system, then I think you can really make some innovation progress.
What's the most important aspect of making innovation actually happen in organisations today? Without doubt, it's the quality of the leadership. Without leaders who set an example and create an environment which is ideas friendly, then innovation will never happen. So it's the quality of leadership.
Another really important thing that we found is, and I guess it's one of those blinding flashes to the obvious, that what the organisation is capable of depends on the capability of the organisation. In other words, there are certain innovation projects. We could invent a self-cleaning clothes, for example, but if the organisation is not capable of doing anything with that, then it's pointless having the idea. So what TD&A is all about is going into a company and being able to measure the capability of the organisation. Once you know what the capability is, you know which innovation projects the company can and cannot do.
The question on innovation for me is always about people. The single biggest challenge that we actually have is that we're only getting 55% of the potential of the individuals who work in the organisations that we're involved in. Why is that? We're getting obedience, we're getting diligence, we're getting intellect. What are we looking for? What are the things that we want to embrace? What are the things that we want them to bring to work, which is around initiative, which is around human creativity and which is around passion? If you say that we're only getting 55%, that means we're losing 65%. Getting obedience, getting diligence, getting intellect, I can buy those anywhere. I can buy them in Eastern Europe relatively much cheaper than I can with the cost models that I have in Western European countries manufacture them. So my question, my comment and my statement is that we have to increase the engagement with our people to those aspects around human creativity and around passion.
I would say the single most important quality required in the act and art of innovation is to know the difference between objective, strategy and tactics. I think a lot of the good examples that we've heard at this conference today have been done by people who fundamentally get that objectives are easy, working out what you want to do, fairly easy. The strategy is the really, really hard bit. And it's been interesting to hear all sorts of different people from different parts of the world bringing together their different perspectives. But if I had to boil one thing down from the whole thing, it's that real clarity of strategy.